Crimson Desert came out 2 months ago. I've been picking apart its open world immersion ever since. Same conversation as every big release. Combat, the cutscenes, the environment, the world, but nobody talks about what you hear every time. That's Foley, the sound of body moving through a world. But combat's a moment, the cutscenes a moment. But Foley is there every second of the gameplay, every footstep, every shift of armor, every breath, the layer that never stops. Watch Red Dead Redemption 2 with your eyes closed, and you can tell that Arthur steps off the boardwalk and onto a mud. The game tells you through the world through his feet. Foley is the silent secret weapon of player immersion. The UE5 indies have Foley, but it's usually one sound on repeat. Not this. Now comes GASP, the game animation sample project by Epic. Now GASP gives you a foundation, locomotion, animation, and also a Foley seed component, right? A Foley component which is called EC Foley events. But all it does is it plays from the AnimNotify, which is placed on foot contacts and all of its animations, which is over 500 to 1000 animations. And that's all good, but it doesn't give you a system on top. There is no surface awareness, there is no gear layers, there is no breath, no reverb, nothing. So, but we don't replace that because we want to scale with how Epic develops its game animation sample project. So we just reparent it now. Now, a year and a half ago, I made a video, this one. So I made a video about footsteps in GASP and how you can do custom surface-based footsteps. But I also teased a feature there where you can overlay your armor sounds and gear sounds and stuff. And I got a lot of comments, and a lot of people reached out to me on Discord. I read each and every single comment, and indies asking like how to implement it themselves and stuff, like how to scale it. I've been building this system ever since, and also for a lot of indie devs who reached out to me, and I've worked with them as well and implemented a lot of custom features and stuff. Now this is the complete version. Agentic Foley. Alright, now let's take care of the setup of this plugin. So once you downloaded the sample project, you open it and go to plugins and just make sure this will be by default selected Agentic Foley, but anyone who is not using the sample project will need to enable this. Make sure this is enabled, and GameplayAbilities needs to be enabled. The GameplayAbilities needs to be enabled, and then we will go to project settings. The next thing we should do is register the gameplay tags. So go to gameplay tags and gameplay tag table list, and here we basically add the Foley tags which comes with the plugin. So you can just search here and register it here. And the next thing we would do is very important to register the GameplayCue which comes with the plugin. So just type here GameplayCue and GameplayCue notify path. So basically we need to tell Unreal that this is the path where you need to scan and register our gameplay cues. This is the path which is by default present. If you have your own gameplay cues, then what you would need to do is you need to register that, or you might have already registered that. And this is the gameplay cue which I have. If I open it, this is the tag which you need to copy. And then when you go and open your character, this is the Foley events. Here you need to select Foley gameplay cue tag and you need to add your own. So by default this is already set up and it should work just fine. And the next thing which we need to do is this one. Basically, you need to add the Foley event component to your character. By default, in GASP, the AC Foley events component is already there. So what you have to do is basically find the class, go to this blueprint, and then click on class settings, and then you have to reparent it to Agentic Foley component. So you just search your Agentic Foley and just select that. Basically it's already selected here, and that's all you need to do so that you have access to the entire C++ APIs for it. So if you're not using your GASP character, then you would add the Agentic Foley component, which is the direct C++ component. It's not a BP version, and it will directly call our C++ version. That also will work fine with this. So you need to add this and follow the same exact process, and that should work. The next thing which you need to do is assign the Foley Data Asset, and that's it, and that's what your character is going to use. And all of these configurations we went through, you would always want to tweak these and changes as per your needs. But that's pretty much it, and everything should work just fine. And the next thing is like your custom animations. For sure, the GASP has all the Foley notifiers by default present in all of their animations. But if you'd want to add to your new animations, the way you would add it is like this. So I have actually added it in here: characters, mannequins, anims, unarmed. Let's go to walk and open any one of them. So these are all agentic Foley animations. Sorry, animation notifies. So the way you would add it is agentic Foley, this one. This is a direct C++ notifier. It doesn't go through the GASP notifier because they both are the same thing. It's just that our Foley, this one has more functionality and more control you can do. So here it's more of the same thing. So it's event tag, then you select the mode. Foot sockets is because you would want to add the foot sockets, but there could be other ways that you would want to add a socket. Like for example, if you want to add a Foley event from your weapon tips or something like that, then you would do that. But anyway, so let's do this. So you would add the foot socket here. This is the left foot you are touching, that's why. And then there's a trace sideways. This is for usually for wall kicks or tic tac or something which needs a side traces. That this will take care of that. So one more example of the custom notifies is when you want to trigger custom Foley events, like when your sword hits the ground, for example here. So when it hits the forest, then it triggers that. If it hits the ground, it will trigger something else like this. For stone, it will trigger the stone, and whatever surface basically it hits, it's going to trigger that, like this water here. So that's the custom notify, and the way the setup is very straightforward. So this is your animation, and wherever it reaches the ground, you just trigger it. Or you could write your own trace logic, like if you have a custom trace, then you keep firing this basically Foley event queue. So this is the Foley event land which I'm reusing, and I've just selected socket and weapon end. Now in your own custom notifiers, you can write your own inventory system logic, how you get your weapon from your inventory and then pass the socket here, and that would do the job. The next thing is the trace sideways in the AnimNotify, the custom notify. So this will take care of these kind of wall jumps or side kicks like this. And the last thing you would want to do is assign the physical materials to all of the surfaces, to your landscape surface or any one which you want. For example, here in this, I have real basic floors. There's just a color added to it. There is no complicated stuff here. And then I've added, like if I open the forest one, so I've added a physical material here. It's quite straightforward. The plugin already comes with all of these materials, but you can create your own and use your own. The one thing you should make sure that a physical material has a surface type. That's it. This is the most important part. Rest is just like rest will just work just fine. So once that is done, I think you should be good to go. Now about the sample project which I have given in the sample. So this sample project only has what comes with GASP, which is the concrete footsteps. That's the only thing which we have here, for example. So that's why I've written here Foley config simple. So it comes with just a concrete footsteps, and everything is just concrete. So I've just added everything as concrete because you need to purchase all other sound waves or any kind of audio assets or VFX assets you would want for your own custom footsteps, because this is not an asset pack. This is a framework. This is a Foley framework, and it does not have any assets. The one which is given is by GASP itself. And also the VFX is also from the Niagara examples of epic samples, right? So that is also reusable, and that's why I've added it here as a sample. And not many of these surfaces have been assigned, so that's why. For example, I think the forest is not assigned, so it won't produce any sound. That is up to you guys to hook it, and these won't have any sounds. And this is just reusing the concrete one itself. And these also have the footsteps also enabled that you can play around with. And that's about it. The other next things which is also there in the plugin is I've added some few reverb rooms, a few presets which you can play around with. Let's see, let's try maybe one of these. Let's try a stone room. Which one's that? This one. So there, once you go inside, there will be okay. So this is the stone room, and once you go out of it, it will fade away. Now, all of these are tweakable, by the way. These are some straightforward presets, but you can always tweak it to what you want. You can also change the brush type and stuff. If you don't want a box, you need a cone, a cube, or whatever. This is the default volume by Epic itself. So, and I've just created a presets which would fit like a stone room or a palace, mountain, and stuff like that. I highly encourage you to play around with this, tweak the values, and create your own. But this system is integrated with the MetaSounds. Now to go inside the MetaSound a bit, right? So now let's go inside the DABB and then this. So here we have the submix, the Foley submixes, as well as integrated, which is important for reverbs or other layers to mix properly. So that's why it's important to make sure these are also present here. This is the reason like why the reverb also works and mixes pretty well with your sounds. That's what the meta sounds are for. I guess that's about it for the sample overview, like what is in the sample project. If you want to migrate this to your own project, the way to do is that you would first migrate the AC Foley events. So click Asset Actions, Migrate, and then you unselect everything in Agentic Foley. And MetaSounds, we don't need that, and SFX, and VFX, we don't need that either. So we only select these, and we can basically click OK to your own project. So here, for example, I have my ACF project, which is there. So I migrated these three. The next thing is the same thing which we would do is the same as the setup process, which is you have to register the gameplay tags. So here at the last, I've added the Foley tags, and as well as the GameplayCue scan, which we showed earlier. It's the same thing. But here I did not have to do that because that was already registered. Go and update your surface types. All of this you can update it. And the next thing you would do is go to your sample, and then we would migrate basically the SFX. And here I have the sound waves, these ones, all of these three. These are basically well-organized. GASP concrete sound itself is the same one, as well as their hand plant sounds and some body tumble sounds. So we just migrate this into the SFX folder. Basically, it will create the SFX folder and put all your sounds there. This is a very, I recommend this way to organize your assets. And then the same thing with VFX. So like examples, so these are the things. So basically we will migrate this as well to your own project. Now let's close this, and then we would have it here: SFX, sound waves, and VFX. Now the plugin, which comes with the default Foley config of this, will automatically bind to those SFX and VFX because the paths are still the same. So you will already be good to go to use this. Now next is you would already have your own animations and own notifies already working. So if it is using GASP, by default you wouldn't have to do anything. But in some cases, like in ACF, this project, I think this is inside. Yeah, so full sample. And then we have the GASP, blueprints, AnimNotifies, and this is the Foley event notify. So you would have to update this because this was the old code, the way it worked. You have to replace this with this. So you'll have to do is blending out, not because the new ones have blending out configurations in the notifies that will not work with the new 5.71. And then you get the AC Foley event, and then basically here you just play the play Foley event and play 2D sound. This is the default drop, but this is how it should already work, and this is, you just keep it how it was previously, and that's all there is. So this is the component which we migrated, and this will just do the same sound, as well as like this all of these can also be compressed, or maybe we can just use the default one which we had here. Let me open this one. Yeah, so all of this can be compressed into this call as well. So that's how you would do it. And there is a chance that when you migrated the AC Foley events, so some of the parameters like this params, this is using S Foley event param structure, this might break. So what you would have to do is come here and select the new one from here, which is the one you migrated, then it should fix it. That's how you would set up this thing in your own project. And of course, like in projects, if you now have a duplicate set of sound effects, because now you have it here, just delete it from your other place because you won't be needing it. So now you have the framework set up in your own project as well. So Agentic Foley plugin consists of the most important thing is the Foley Agentic Foley component. So basically, what I have done is for people who use GASP, just like I do. So I reparented the Foley events to my own C++ component, agentic Foley component, and all of that logic we can just remove it all, and it handles through the C++ component, which takes care of replication, surface aware, line traces, and all that logic. It takes care of that behind the scene. And of course, like we don't need to use AC Foley events, which comes with GASP. We can directly just use agentic Foley, and in our notifies, AnimNotify, we can just call the function basically from agentic Foley component, play Foley owner, and there's lots of other useful functions as well which we can use. Now, apart from the component, we primarily have three data assets. It's a collection of data assets which take care of everything. The first being the Foley data asset. So what you will see here is that you can add all the surfaces which you have in your own project, and you can define basically the audio banks. The audio bank concept was also introduced in GASP, and I have created a very clean audio bank in C++ so that it scales better, and it also looks exactly the same. Like you will add a tag and then a preset, a MetaSound preset. So going back to data assets, so everything is basically a gameplay tag driven, because you trigger this gameplay tag from your notify or through your code or blueprint, wherever you want it from. So it's pretty straightforward. You select the surface, like the one I've selected here, and then you can define a default VFX which plays when the impact happens. It's just default fallback. But the main thing which happens here is the effects, because we would want a lot of different effects based on what kind of Foley event that is. So you can define it for walk. You can define it for land, which will be a different kind of stuff. And then there's also, I think there must be slide. Yeah, so slide is a bit special because it will play an attached loop. And I think this should be root. And this will be attached to the root bone or wherever you want. It depends on what kind of animation you have, right? So in the default example, if I, let me just define, or maybe we can do that as well. We can just play with multiplayer. You can see here, so it's playing that slide loop as you saw that, right? So now it's multiplayer for sure, and that is what basically attached does here. It's basically attaches to whatever bone socket you have. Then you can define your spawn offset. Now the reason I have the spawn offset here is because I found that from marketplace, lots of different VFX has their own different kind of transform, and it takes a lot of time to, yeah, we can't really do that directly in the VFX itself, because you might be reusing it for other purpose. But what I do is I go one by one, I define the spawn offset. So this is pretty much it. And then I've also added a noise level. This is not the volume multiplier. Volume multiplier is this one. Noise level is for the AI triggers. And then there is footprint intensity and trail. So these two are experimental right now, because I just thought the footprint trails and trails shouldn't be part of Foley component, because I feel even though the Foley should trigger that for sure, but most of the landscape materials usually comes with that. And if you have your own, I would recommend to use that. But in future, like in a few weeks time or something, I'll also be releasing a next gen landscape auto material with lots of new features and stuff, and it will also have a very advanced version of a very unique version, I mean a proper version of trail and footprint system. But I do have included a multiplayer version of that, which you can see here, and it works pretty well. One thing which I'm not so happy about is it can be improved is the trails, but that requires a lot of material effort and also in your landscape material. So that, but for most of the indie devs, this might work as well. So you guys are welcome to use it. And apart from this, so this takes care of all the surface-based footsteps effects, both SFX and the VFX, right? Now, if I go a bit into this, now if I go, let's say, inside the MetaSound presets, so here the way you have to actually add is you go to layer 0 waves. This is basically where you would put all of your sounds. This is where you will introduce all of your sounds. And this is a custom C++ Foley layered node. It was written in C++, and this actually orchestrates everything between how the footstep works, the armor layered works, and everything. Now let's get to that, because that is the next big thing which comes with this plugin. Now if I go to AC Foley events, and if you scroll down the right side under Foley Data Foley section, you will see all of the things which are included. So let's go here one by one. So this is basically the Foley Data Asset, which I just showed you. Then you have the traces, because you might have like a horse or something for whom you want to use this. Then you will add more foot sockets like left, right, front, and back, and everything, or whatever your foot sockets are. And this is very straightforward trace channel. If you have a particular trace channel for landscape, if you only wanted to trigger a landscape, just change it to whatever your trace channel is. And then this is a quite important one for those who are interested in multiplayer. But I also recommend this for people who don't use multiplayer, because it's just very reliable and also cleaner to use gameplay cues for VFX, because these are one-time, one-shot fire events. So this is a gameplay cue which comes by default. And then you have the footprint system. This is experimental, but you can take a look and play around with these kind of configurations. So there is some stamps texture for foot and left, and if you have a barefoot one, just replace the texture with this, and you can play around with the size of the footprints which will appear. And then we have the trails. Yeah, so the trails, there's just a trail blob, there's nothing here. All right, the next thing is slot banks. Now this is basically the layering system. This is the armor, gear, and any kind of extra slots you want to add on top of the Foley sounds. So for example, we right now we have 3 slots, and these are additive in nature. Basically, you can you don't basically, if you add a gear and an armor, they don't replace, they will be additive. So that's why there are slots on this. So let's try one out. So right now we don't have anything. Let's just play the default Foley, which is the surface based sounds. So now you can hear it's just the default footsteps. By the way, this project is my own game, Youth. This is not part of the sample project. It's the game I'm working on, and also developing the Foley system and all the systems right in this project itself. Okay, so as you hear, there is just the footsteps here. Now let's add a gear slot. Let's imagine I have a quiver equipped, even though I don't have that right now. The inventory system is something I'm working on, but imagine that I have it. Yeah, so this is the slot overlay, the gear overlay of quiver. Now we can have, sword overlays or any kind of, it's up to you what kind of gear you want. Now let's also add one more slot, which is the armor, and let's use how about metal plate armor? Chainmail is also there, but it's a bit loud. Yeah, so now I'm wearing a chainmail. I have a quiver as well. And by the way, all of that follows the same methodology. So basically you can configure different sounds for different Foley events like jumps or land or run or anything. So let's check this out, right? So let's open the gear quiver. So it's very straightforward. You define the same tags as you do for your Foley events, and then you add the waves directly here. You don't have to add it in the MetaSound layer waves because that is the preset, and this is a layer on top of it. So you just add whatever waves you have, and then there's a volume multiplier. There's nothing to it. It's very straightforward and very easy to use. All right, so the way you would use this in your blueprint or code is by, so this is a different one. I will come to this later. This is just to trigger Foley directly, by code. But now let's say I want to change a slot bank. This is how you would do it. For example, this instead of debug key, this is, let's say, equip armor. Then you would set armor and whatever bank asset, the slot bank asset. Let's say you want to equip a chainmail, so you can have this all chained up. That is completely up to your inventory system. How do you handle that? And this is how you activate it basically. So you can have any kind of slot banks, and for example, you can have 10 different slot banks for 10 different armors, and you could just swap them around like this. Oh, I have to remove these things first because these were the default overrides, and then on press of G, I should be able to equip the chainmail. I think I did select the chainmail, right? Yeah, I think so. So right now I don't have anything. Then G, and yes, I have equipped the chainmail. And then basically that's straightforward, right? And let's say I can actually show how to layer them as well. So debug key H, and I want to equip the quiver, or maybe a sword. Let's do sword. I have one, I think. Sword. Then let's change this to, let's say, leather armor. Okay, and now I'll press G. Now I have the leather armor. And then H, I have the sword. Again, everything up to imagination, but this is how it would work. Alright, so the final thing which we'll cover is the character SFX config. So this is anything which is keyed to the character state is layered on top of footsteps. Like it can be not just on top of footsteps, it can be triggered via events and raised by triggers. So like anything like breathing, which depends on walking, running, sprint, or any kind of sounds related to breathing, or we can do heartbeats like tension, pulse, or panic, or maybe even during health loss. We can also do effort grunts like jumping, sliding, swinging a sword, the effort sounds, grunts, which we do, or any kind of sounds related to the character. So the way to think about it, this is Foley Data Asset is primarily like surface-driven FX, and character SFX is anything which is relates to the character state and the sound which it produces. So let's open this and check this out, right? So by default, I've included in the GASP sample the breathing events, and it is triggered by a trigger, a Foley event breathing trigger. So what it does is it detects the state GASP mover, which basically triggers walking, running, sprint, and stuff like that. So let's check this out first. So I think we can check this out here. So this is the like tundra-ish kind of environment. So breathing will be a bit difficult here. As you can hear, this is the run breathing loop. And then we can have jump. And once I stopped running, it exhaled out. Those are also included. And on jump and land also. So all of these can be configured. So the sounds currently which are included, I created my own sounds and added it as sample, but these are not really professional audios. So I encourage you guys to buy it from your favorite creators, sound assets for breathing, heartbeat, and whatever you need. But these also work just fine. You can still use it. So this is how you would set up everything. All right, now let's check some triggers, right? So the first thing is this one, the Foley event breathing. It is written in C++. That's why you don't see much of params here. It is triggering from the C++ side. This is already included in the plugin. Then there's ways to also create it in using blueprints. So for example, I have one here, audio Foley triggers, heartbeat triggers. If I open this, so it's a very straightforward, very simple example. It's nothing complicated here. So first thing we would do is event on initialize, and I just set a timer by function, firebeat, and I fire it every 3 seconds in a loop. And then on shutdown, I just clear it. And the firebeat is nothing but if it is not active, I will just on condition met, and if it is active, then no longer condition met. And this is just the heartbeat trigger. So what it does, it will trigger basically a event. So right now I've selected this. It will trigger this event every 3 seconds. And let's see, where is this one? Yeah, this is the one which is going to trigger. Now the one this is triggering is a heartbeat pulse, and let's find that as well. It is here, heartbeat pulse. So what it does is on event execute, it will just play the spawn sound 2D. That's it, and fade in. And on stop event, it will just fade out, delay, and destroy the component. That's it. It will stop the sound. That's all it will do. So now every 3 seconds you will hear a heartbeat. That was not really a heartbeat, but that's the sound I have. That is what I've just included. But if you have a heartbeat sound, that is what you're going to play. But we would not play, this is not really a gameplay logic. I wouldn't want to play a heartbeat sound all the time. So that's why this was just added as an example. But that's why I also have included GASP attribute threshold trigger. So what it would do is whenever your gas attribute or whatever your stat is less than 100, then it's going to trigger the heartbeat sound. All right, now let's check this out, right? So what I will do is I'll go here. Let me open my debugger. Yeah, so if you see on the left side, my health is 350. I need to damage it a bit. So now it's 200, and if I do it one more time, I should hear the heartbeat. There it is. So it's now 82. If it goes above 100, it should stop. Yeah, that's it. After the fade out, it stopped. So this is how you would set up your custom triggers. This is just an example. And that's why this is a very scalable and modular system. You write all your triggers here and raise any kind of event which you want, and you can create them in blueprints as well. And just one more announcement here. So this is a framework and not an asset pack. So the surface audios or VFX or all of those stuff comes from fab packs that you already own or purchase, because we don't provide those assets. This is a framework strictly. But I do own a lot of them, and I have actually configured and played around and experimented with all of it using this framework, because this framework makes it very easy to just connect it and wire or configure everything and run it. But it does take a bit of time to get everything just right, like the perfect surface sound which you want, the perfect VFX which you want out of that. All of those takes time. So that's why working with a lot of indie devs, like I worked on this Foley, especially this Foley project with a lot of indies already, and I've curated a collection of data assets for all kinds of stuff, like hero characters, NPCs and stuff, and also quality levels, like what kind of quality you would want based on the budget which you have. So I've created a collection of curated assets here, and if you are a indie Dev Studio and you would want to directly get that, just you can get it on Patreon. Just visit this website, my studio page, instead of mention product agentic Foley, and go to the pick your pack section. And you will get to know all of the stuff which you need to know here. You just need to open a Discord ticket in order to get access to it. And there is obviously the free stuff. You can get the free stuff. All you have to do is just leave a fab review, and you can already get the completely fully wired configured essential footsteps and this. So the way you will get it is you have to, obviously these are free on like if I click this one, right, this is already free. You can get it from fab. uh, you can always configure the data assets and the meta sounds yourself as well. It just takes a bit of time, but that is what these framework is for, so that you can configure and tune it to your liking. But I've already done like months of research with me and like with myself on my game and also indie devs, so you can always contact me if you just need that directly instantly in a day or two, and I'd be able to help you out. So go to this section and you'll be good to go. I'm parallelly working on a lot of other stuff as well, like Agentic Biomes. It's basically based on Biome Core, the next-gen GPU GASP system, and a lot of other stuff which you can control, like the entire huge open worlds via grid systems, so that it's fast, performant, and obviously can define any kind of biomes you want. This is just one of the biomes I think I have already created like 20 of them or something. So this is one of the biomes, and if I maybe move to next place, it's still under construction, but created a next-gen landscape auto material. So for example, and it has 9-9 displacement and all that stuff, and then auto sloping, and also it has a variant system. For example, if you paint sand, you can define like up to 3 variants based on any kind of driver logic, whether you wanted a slope logic or a noise pattern or a texture. So you see here, these are forming in the same layer as the sand layer, right? So there's a lot of interesting features in the this new landscape material I'm working on. So here is as well, like this is just snow, there's a rocky snow, there is a soil snow, the same variant, and of course the traditional ones like with natural blending and stuff. You can create lots of unique and nice looking. This is, I think, dirt, and it has a variations with grass, and then we have basically the jungle roots kind of stuff. Like these are all Megascan textures, and everything is just plug and play, and you will get a lot of configuration out of the box. And then in agentic biomes itself, like we have cliffs, really nice looking cliffs with triplanar projections and all that goodness. And then we can also have very much realism. When if I, let's say, I close up here. So yeah, you see here, these are all PCG driven auto slopes with proper rocks, and these are RVT blended with the surfaces. That's why it looks really unique. Like if you notice here, these are all very realistic in nature, to be honest. And then of course the agentic atmosphere, which is the atmos, the clouds, the weather, the wind, all of that. So, and it integrates directly with the ultra dynamic sky via an adapter system. So if I move to, let's say, night, I can change the sky, I can change the mood. Everything is basically define the segment. So you can define lighting configurations per time of day, and it will be unique to that time of day. So of course, like this is a one lighting asset, lighting data asset. I call it this a day cycle data asset. You can define any kind of per region. Basically, a per region data asset is day nights, because I'm treating a open world basically, and it's a very huge open world, and all of them will have their own biomes, their own climate, their own day cycles. Everything should be unique, including the weather, also the wind, and also the falling leaves, the wind. All of these follow adapter system. So for example, this is a easy biome trees. So easy biomes is a different asset pack. All I had to do is create a agentic. So I have an agentic wind manager, which will define a source. So in this case, the source is ultra dynamic sky, and this is create this, then we have to register adapters. So I have a MPC adapter, and here I have basically created an easy biome adapter. Then I have a rainforest pack adapter. So these, like whatever asset you have, you can plug them in, and they would also follow this wind pattern, which is, being generated by ultradynamic weather or sky, or whatever source you have. Like if you're using something else, that could easily be used here as well. Then I also have a fog manager. If I go somewhere with some fog, this fog manager also follows an adapter system. Let me see if I have some fog here. I think there was one. Bring it up here. Yeah, this is a fog manager. Now this ground fog uh, can have different variations and colors based on the time of the day, and that is handled through the fog manager as well. So basically you define the target, and based on the adapter system, it will either disappear or appear whenever you want, and also changes properties and colors and thickness or whatever you want with it. So this is very complicated agentic biomes and agentic atmosphere and the agentic landscape. All of these three are, all of them are related to the environment aspect of it, and they are coming soon, and they are almost done. I'm just tweaking them around and working on some performance, and I will manage to get a lot of performance in my 4080. I'm able to touch around 100 fps with these dense forest, and I'll be improving a lot on the performance profiling of it as well. So subscribe if you're interested in this, or join our Discord. Keep a lookout on my channel and also on my Fab Marketplace for the release of these plugins. I'll see you on the next one.